Hi crawlers, this is Mumble Stiltskin. Let's get crawling. But before we go downstairs, I want to show you a very handy trick. If you want to get anywhere kind of instantly without having to manually go there, you have a couple options. One thing you can do is if you press Shift X, we used this earlier to look at monster info. You can actually use this to tell your character to move to. So we can go up here if we just press Enter. He'll move there. Oh, that was my cat at the same time that Natasha showed up. Good sound effects. If you'll remember, we killed her earlier, but since she's a felid, she's still alive. We might as well kill her again. But this is a good time to talk about engaging ranged enemies and how line of sight works. So, you'll notice that right now, Natasha is at the edge of our line of sight. She is at the very edge, and we can tell that because everything else is kind of grayed out. Our line of sight is lighter. And because she's at the edge, that means that if we move backwards, it's going to be harder for her to attack us. She is a little faster, so that means she can actually still maybe attack us a little bit, but it's going to be a good idea to move back, and we can actually make her come to us. If we close the gap, she's going to get more free shots off. So what we're going to do is go back a little bit, and then we're going to kind of hide around this corner, like so. And then we'll just wait a little bit. And when we think she's come down, oh, there she is. We'll murder her. Hey, now she's dead again. And we got even more experience. We could actually kill her one more time, but it's probably not worth the effort. So that's one way that you can move instantly to places. We just did Shift X, and then you press Enter. Another way that's good, especially if you want to go long distances, is to press Control G for go. And then all you have to do is press the capital letter for where you want to go. Right now we've only been in the dungeon. We have not been to any other branch. So all we have is dungeon right down here. So I'm going to hit capital D, and then you just put in the number of the floor you want to go to. The next floor is 3, so I hit 3 and then Enter, and down we go. I'm going to zoom in a little bit too. Maybe that'll make it easier for you guys to see. Okay, so we are down on level 3, and we're going to keep going. There's a gecko. We're going to kill him. Geckos are maybe a little stronger than you might guess. They're still not that strong, though. Here's an imp. Imps are interesting because they can regenerate. So if you can't do damage quickly enough to them, especially if you're a necromancer because they're immune to negative energy, then they can actually be a pretty tough enemy. But we're a Minotaur fighter. We're awesome. Let's kill this hobgoblin. Alright, we just found a shrine. This is our first shrine, and this is where we could actually start worshiping a deity. And Okawaru is a really popular god for melee characters. He's really straightforward to use, and he's really strong. The fact that we found him on dungeon level 3 is really good for us. That's actually pretty early to find a god that is helpful to you. There are a lot of different gods. So we're going to go ahead and press P to pray at this altar. And this will give us some information about Okawaru. So we can find out, kind of the overview. These are really the only 2 abilities that he gives. And then if we hit the little caret, we can look at the powers. So this will just tell you a little bit more. You'll notice he'll also give us gifts of weapons and armor. So that's one of the best reasons to worship him. And then if we press the caret one more time, you can look at his wrath, which basically means if we ever left him later, he's going to be like a bad ex-girlfriend and try to kill us. And so we're going to just hit yes to join this religion. So now we worship Okawaru. You may also notice that we can see a little better. I just remembered to change some settings so that the tiles are bigger. I hope that's a little nicer. Now that we worship Okawaru, as we go around and kill stuff, oh, there's Natasha again. She just really wants to die. Now that we go around and when we kill stuff, you'll see that Okawaru accepts our kills. Okawaru likes it when we kill things, especially things that are challenging to us. And when we do things that he likes, then our piety goes up. And our piety gives us powers. So that's pretty much the deal. Gods give you really, really strong abilities. They're one of the most interesting and unique parts about Crawl. So I would highly recommend experimenting with different ones, trying them out. They're all pretty awesome and fun. And we're gonna keep on going. I don't really expect to have too much trouble, even though, if you remember, we still have this Amulet of Inaccuracy. We actually have a Scroll of Remove Curse now, so I didn't even notice we picked that up. Let's drop that. We don't want that. And we have this other scroll now, so we can see what that does. It's a Scroll of Recharging. And I actually just wasted it. That's why sometimes you don't always want to use your scrolls as soon as you get them. A lot of times it's good to have certain things that would benefit from scrolls before you start testing them out. So for example, it could be good to have a piece of armor that you would be okay with enchanting, a weapon that you want to enchant, or a wand to recharge. But you know, I was a little greedy, so I decided to identify it and we wasted it. It's not a big deal, but it is something to think about. You'll notice that I'm always going to be more careful with my positioning when I'm fighting a group of guys. So like here, I am just aiming to find a hallway that only one guy can fit in. And it's usually pretty easy to run away from guys that can only do melee attacks. Even ranged guys, a lot of times running is the better option. Looks like they had some interesting items, but nothing that we really can use. There is chainmail, which is better than scale mail, so we can get that actually, and we'll put that on. You start to recognize which items kind of do what as you play, but if you're not sure yet, you can always just pick it up and look at it. And so we can see here the base armor rating is 8, and the encumbrance rating is 15. This is for the chainmail we just got. Let's compare that to the scale mail that we were using. So the base armor rating for this is 6, and the encumbrance rating is 10. So what this means, the base armor rating is actually multiplied by some stuff. It's based on your strength and your armor skill. So even if this is 6 and the other one is 8, we could actually get more than 2 AC from equipping this. And the encumbrance rating is how much it's going to penalize our dodging and how much it'll have a chance to interrupt and stop us from attacking. Usually if you have high strength like we do, because we started as a Minotaur, that also affects your stats, strength, intelligence, and dexterity, not just what skills you're good at. If you have high strength, then the encumbrance rating is not as big of a deal. The good rule of thumb is if you have a strength about equal to the encumbrance rating or higher, then you're going to be pretty good. Of course, the higher the encumbrance rating, probably the more armor skill that you want. Looking at this though, you can see our maces and flails is at 7.2 and our armor is at 3.6. And we can actually even see exactly how much experience it's going to cost to go up to the next level from, 7 from the integer. So it would cost 5.7 to increase maces and flails. It'll cost 2.8 to increase armor. Even though it would cost less for the armor, right now I think maces and flails is still more important. So we're going to just keep doing that. We should be okay even wearing the heavier armor because our strength is really good. And we do have some armor skill. Thank you for your input, cat. Sorry about that. I cannot really stop my cat from making sounds like that. She's okay, I promise. Let's just keep on going. I'm not going to play perfectly either. Most people don't. It's good to play as well as you can, but, sometimes if it's a goblin, you might just approach him and not care too much about waiting for him to come to you. Ooh, so this is interesting. You'll notice the game right here just put these red X's on the tiles near us. So Auto Explorer will not take us there. And if we want to move in here, like so, it's going to ask us to confirm. Really? Walk into a travel excluded area? That's just the game kind of helping us out because, as you can see, there are some fiery explosions happening right here. You notice as we wait turns, the fire is kind of dissipating in certain places and appearing in other places. If we walk through here, we're definitely going to take some fire damage. But I think we have enough health that if we time it decently... Ooh, nope, I was wrong. We're going to not do that. Let's not do that. Maybe when we get some fire resistance, we'll come back. But, part of this is experimentation. I do want this amulet, though. Ooh, that's super tempting. I bet there's a pattern to this that I just don't really know. I'm going to try and get it. Oh, okay, we got it. Yeah, we got it. Okay, let's see what this amulet does. An amulet of dismissal. This is pretty new for this version. And so what it does is if something tries to attack us 1 out of 10 times, it will get teleported away from us. If we were a ranged or a caster class, that would probably be pretty good. But we actually kind of want them to be next to us, mostly, because that's how we kill them. We don't have any ranged attacks right now, so we don't really need to even keep this. I don't think that we're really going to want to use this ever. It could be good for some classes, but it's not good for us. You'll notice when I hit O now, down at the bottom here where it kind of tells us the things that are happening, it says partly explored, can't reach some places. That's because of the travel exclusion that we saw earlier. And when you see that, it either means that there's some place you might want to manually explore, or it means, in this case, you should probably come back later when you are safely able to get the items without being burned to death. Or, if you're on a floor that you have explored, it'll basically just tell you that you're done exploring, and then you know it's good to go to the next level. Before we hit Control G and go to the dungeon, level 4, I want to point out this little hole next to us is a pit. My cat is really freaking out, man. I'm sorry. Anyway, there's a pit right here. Actually a shaft. That's technically what they're called. And if you went into the shaft, you can stand on top of it. It's actually safe to do that because we identified it. We already know it's there. Shafts start off kind of hidden, and you basically just have a chance of recognizing that it's there when you get near it. You could manually go down it, just like you could go down the stairs using the carrot, but it's not usually a good idea unless you really need to escape, because there's not going to be stairs up, and it could drop you right in the middle of some bad guys. It could also send you more than one floor down, and the deeper you go, the harder it gets. So we don't really want to do that. Instead, we're just going to use Control G and go to dungeon level 4. Right before we got down there, we ran into a bat, so let's just kill him and go down. Okay, no enemies, but there is a ring, so let's go get it. If you like it, then you should put a ring on it, and I like myself, because I am a cool guy. I do not have a scroll of Identify or a scroll of Remove Curse, so it will be risky to put this on. That's why I'm going to wait, because I'm trying to teach you and not be reckless, which I sometimes like to do. So here's an ant, and an ant probably we can easily kill, but one thing that you should know, and this is a good kind of reason to not approach enemies, even if they're weaker than you, is that as we move forward, look, we just found more guys. I didn't even know those were there, but this is a really good rule of thumb, because when you move towards guys, that means you're uncovering more tiles, which means there could be more dudes to see you. And it's better to have fewer dudes seeing you at a time. So that's pretty much why you will either want to stay in the same place, or a lot of times even back up. Now, these guys are kind of unique. These are slaves. Not very nice. It's not nice to be a slaver. These come with a unique guy called Pykel, who we can't see yet. And I know that because I've played this game a lot. You'll probably figure that out pretty quickly too. You see Pykel kind of a lot. So what we're going to do actually is go up the stairs again. The reason that we're going to do that is because when you kill Pykel, he's the slaver, his slaves actually become free, and then they want to help you, and you don't have to kill them. And when you do kill them, you do not get experience for killing them. So it's better to just kill Pykel. Okay, let's play properly and go run back here. Yes. Yeah, let's go here. So, here's a good chance to explain something. If we look at orcs, you'll see that it says it is intelligent. When it says that, it means, well, a lot of things. One of the things that it means is that the enemies will try to move past where they could attack you so that they can make more room for their friends to attack you. So, for example, if I move back here, first we leveled up. Let's do intelligence this time, just because it's so low. It's kind of an investment for the future. Anyway, if I move back here, which by the way is not really a good idea, we'll be fine because these are just orcs. I'm going to show you. If I move back here, even if I stayed in that spot ahead of me, like let's say we go here, they're going to move, I'm waiting now, they're going to move past me like that. And they're just going to keep doing that until they can keep hitting me because they're intelligent. If they were like adders or something not intelligent, then as soon as they could attack me, they would just stay there and block up the hallway. So if you're fighting things that are not intelligent, then you can, use places that only one guy can hit you, whereas if things are intelligent, more than one guy can hit you in those same places. We just went back downstairs. We can kill the slave. It's not really going to hurt anything. It just doesn't help us. And these guys are actually really strong. So that's kind of why I prefer not to. You'll see when we killed him, it said that felt strangely unrewarding. That's the message you see when you kill things that do not give you experience. Here's an orc wizard. These are the bane of many a young adventurer. So let's take a look at what he can do here. So orc wizards do typically have ranged attacks. So pretty much all of them have magic dart. They have different spell books too, and we can kind of see what he could have, but we don't actually know which one he has. Either way, he's going to be kind of dangerous for some characters. By himself though, we're high enough level and we're a strong character, we could easily take him. But we still want to play the right way. So we're going to back up around this corner and make him come to us. And you'll see he's not actually approaching directly like a melee character would. He's trying to move so that he can attack us from the furthest possible way. He's not like a genius about it, so you'll notice he's not like way back here, but he's still pretty decent at trying to find a place to attack us from that is far away. So like he's still trying not to get close to us. And that's why you kind of just have to juke him a little bit, and so you can close the gap without him getting free hits off on you. I just kind of wanted to show you there. He was weak enough, we probably could have just approached him. But the smart way to do it against a ranged character that is a threat is to kind of do what I just showed you, to juke them like that. Now we've already been down these stairs, and we know that because there's not a little yellow asterisk next to it. So like this one is a new stairwell that we have not used because it has the asterisk. And I actually want to go here because I know that there is another slave down at that stairwell, and I don't want to have to fight him. So I'm going to go here. Wow, there's a lot of stuff here. And we found Pykel. This is Pykel. He's a slave master. You'll notice he doesn't actually have like spells or extra abilities, but he is pretty strong even by himself. The slaves are really the stronger part. The slaves hit really hard for this point in the game. And the fact that they don't help you, it's pretty spooky. So what we're going to do here is actually get Pykel, if he will, to follow us up the stairs. So I'm going to attack a jackal just to spend a turn. And you'll notice that, we're kind of getting surrounded here. So I'm going to go up the stairs. Only enemies that are right next to you can follow you up the stairs. When you do it, they will get some free hits off on you, and you actually get a pretty big penalty to your evasion when you're going up or down stairs like that. So you don't want to abuse it too much, especially if you're about to die. But in this case, it was a really good idea. We don't have to fight the slaves now. These jackals are actually pretty weak, and Pykel himself, by himself, will probably be able to kill him. Sometimes he spawns with a pretty spooky whip, like he might have a whip of electricity or something like that. He had a whip of flaming this time. We could use it. Flaming is not that good on a whip. It's a pretty good brand, but not for a whip. I might as well explain why that is. So if we look at a flail, you'll notice the minimum attack delay, like we talked about in the last episode, it's 0.7. If we look at the whip, it's 0.5. But the base damage is really different. So you see the whip can end up attacking way faster, 0.5 compared to 0.7. It might seem like a small difference, but it adds up very quickly. The thing about the flaming brand, and you can find out more about this on the wiki too, is that it basically does more damage based on the amount of damage you would have hit for without that brand. So a weapon like a flail with relatively high base damage at 10, it would benefit more from flaming than a weapon like a whip with a base damage of 6. There are other brands that are better for fast weapons. A whip is a really fast weapon. Electricity is great for fast weapons because it's not based on the amount of damage your hit does. It's just a chance of triggering when you attack. So the more you attack, the higher your the more chances you get to electrocute people. So that's why a whip of flaming is not as good as a whip of electricity. And likewise, a slow weapon, like a flail, is not going to be as good if it's a flail of electricity compared to flaming. That might sound kind of complicated, but you start to learn kind of what the brands mean. Now you'll see, since we're back downstairs and Pike's dead this time, we have a smiley face next to these slaves, and they're freed slaves now. They're so happy that we freed them from Pykel that they're actually going to help us kill stuff. And hey, that's pretty good because we just ran into yet another unique, Blork the Orc. He's not one of the scariest ones, but you know, he's still pretty spooky compared to your average enemy you would run into. He can haste himself, he can turn invisible, he can do, you know, bad things that are bad. But I am just gonna charge at him because I know that these little slaves will help me out, and also that he's not that strong compared to me, at this point anyway. He's invisible, that's why we can't see him anymore, but we kind of know where he is. The game let us know, based on, you know, a lot of different things. He just attacked us, which is one of the main reasons that we know where he is. And so we can attack him. Even though we know where he is, we do have a really big penalty to hit him. So attacking invisible monsters does come with substantial disadvantages. But if you can't see them any other way, and you know that you're strong enough to kill them, then you can do it anyway. We just found a couple more altars. This is fetus. Fetus, not like fetus, like a thing in your womb. It's like Fedhas. I don't really know how to say it. I've only ever seen it on the screen. Anyway, this one's Ashen Zari. I'm not going to go into detail on all those gods, because you can look all that stuff up on a wiki. But you should know that, you know, these are more gods. Altars will appear kind of periodically in the dungeon, and at some point we'll find the Ecumenical Temple, and that'll have a whole bunch of altars. But that's usually not until somewhere between where we are at dungeon level 4 and a little deeper in the dungeon, like I think around 7 or 8. And we already have Okawaru. He's a really good god for us as a melee kind of guy. And you can see we actually have one little pip of piety now. Okawaru likes us. And that means that we can actually use the first ability that he gives us. If you press A, lowercase a, you'll see a list of your abilities. And one of them is Heroism. Okawaru is giving that to us. And you can see that it would cost us 2 magic points, a little bit of hunger, and some piety. You can even get more details on how this works if you hit exclamation point and then you hit A. It'll describe it instead of activating it. So this tells us a little more specifically how much hunger and piety it costs, and it'll describe just what it does. What it does is it increases all of our combat skills. So armor, dodging, maces and flails, fighting, shields, all that good stuff, it's going to increase it. So it's a very powerful tool. And it's relatively spammable because it doesn't cost very much. Doesn't mean you want to use it in every single fight, but if it seems like it might even be a little bit of a challenge, a little bit risky, then you can just pop it and it'll be that much easier. It's pretty strong. So even though Okawaru is a pretty simple god, he just has 2 abilities that you activate, he's very strong. Straightforward but strong. Okay, we're just going to back up, play it correctly. This is a good time probably to talk about sound. So earlier, oh, here's an Ecumenical Temple. I'll show you what that looks like while I describe how sound works. Earlier, we were sort of talking about why you ought to probably run away from enemies, even if they're not that strong, and then fight them instead of moving forward. One of the reasons that you want to do that, other than just that you might see new enemies, is that there's actually sound in this game. So my video editing software is free and it sucks. And it turns out that I lost about 20 minutes of footage. So we're in a different place than you just saw. And this probably felt a little jarring, a little weird that the audio got like cut and smashed and now we're in a different place. I'm sorry about that. I am not exactly a rich person, so I can't really afford good video editing software. Anyway, I will pick up and explain what I already explained and then lost in the future. But for now, I'll have to cut it here. I'm sorry about that. I hope that it was still helpful, and I'll see you guys next time.